Imagine you're sitting there with $10,000 ready to invest in the Nasdaq. You open your brokerage app and see 3 ETFs staring back at you: QQQM, QQQJ, and QQQI. They all track the Nasdaq in some way, but here's where it gets interesting. One of these funds has doubled investors' money in just 5 years. Another one pays out $1,330 every single month on that same $10,000 investment. And the third? It's betting on the next generation of companies that could become tomorrow's Apple or Microsoft. 3 funds, 3 completely different strategies, and choosing the wrong one could cost you thousands in missed opportunities. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one matches your investment goals. Quick favor, hit like and subscribe right now so YouTube shows this to more people who need to see it. Let's start by understanding what makes these 3 ETFs completely different animals. QQQM, the Invesco Nasdaq 100 ETF, launched in October 2020 and has become a beast with $63 to $68 billion in assets. It's the straightforward play tracking the top 100 non-financial companies on the Nasdaq. Then there's QQQJ, the Invesco Nasdaq Next Gen 100 ETF, launched the same day as QQQM but much smaller at $687 to $709 million in assets. It tracks companies ranked 101 through 200, essentially the bench players waiting for their shot at the big leagues. Finally, QQQI is the newcomer launched in January 2024. And despite being the youngest, it's exploded to nearly $6 billion by implementing a covered call strategy for massive income. The expense ratios tell part of the story. QQQM and QQQJ both charge just 0.15%, while QQQI charges 0.68% for its active management. Now let's dive deep into QQQM, the growth champion. When you buy QQQM, you're essentially buying the Magnificent Seven and their friends. Nvidia leads the pack at 9.58%, followed by Apple at 8.25% and Microsoft at 8.24%. Add in Broadcom at 5.83% and Amazon at 5.06%, and you start seeing a pattern. The top 10 holdings make up 52.31% of this fund. That's serious concentration, and it cuts both ways. During the AI boom of 2024 and 2025, this concentration has been rocket fuel. The numbers don't lie. QQQM has delivered a cumulative return of 115.35% over approximately 5 years. That means if you invested $10,000 when this fund launched, you'd have over $21,000 today. The annualized return since inception is 17.03%. This year alone, QQQM has returned anywhere from 20.14% to 23.82%, depending on when you check. The sector breakdown shows why. Information technology comprises 53.6% of the portfolio, with communication services at 15.4% and consumer discretionary at 11.8%. But here's the reality check on income. QQQM pays a dividend yield of just 0.48%. That's $1.25 per share annually paid quarterly. If you wanted to generate $1,000 a year in dividend income from QQQM, you'd need to invest $208,333. This is purely a growth play. Let's shift gears to QQQJ, the ambitious underdog with a different story to tell. While QQQM is buying the proven champions, QQQJ is scouting the up-and-comers. The top holding here is Alnylam Pharmaceuticals at just 3.30%, followed by eBay at 2.55% and Monolithic Power Systems at 2.25%. Notice something? The top 10 holdings only represent 19.81% of total assets. This is diversification on steroids compared to QQQM. The sector allocation is where QQQJ really differentiates itself. Healthcare makes up 20.6% of this fund compared to QQQM's measly 4.2%. Information technology is only 36.6% here, nearly 17 percentage points less than QQQM. You're also getting 12.6% in industrials and 13.1% in consumer discretionary. This sounds great in theory, but here's where the rubber meets the road. Performance. QQQJ has delivered an annualized return of just 4.6 to 6.33% since inception. Compare that to QQQM's 17.03%, and you see the problem. The smaller mid-cap companies QQQJ holds haven't participated in the mega-cap rally that's defined this market cycle. Year-to-date, QQQJ is up 13.05 to 18.65%, respectable but trailing QQQM. There have been bright spots, though. In some recent months, QQQJ showed stronger one-month performance at 7.97 to 9.31% compared to QQQM, suggesting occasional periods when mid-caps outperform. The dividend yield is slightly better at 0.78 to 0.79%, paying about $0.28 per share annually, but that's still not an income play. QQQJ works best as a satellite holding, maybe 10 to 20% of your portfolio, providing diversification away from mega-cap dominance and heavier healthcare exposure. Now we get to QQQI, and this is where things get really interesting. QQQI holds the exact same underlying stocks as QQQM. Nvidia at 9.74%, Apple at 8.33%, Microsoft at 8.24%. Same top 10 concentration at 52.8 to 54.16%. So what's different? The covered call strategy. Here's how it works in simple terms. QQQI buys these Nasdaq 100 stocks, then sells call options on them. When you sell a call option, you're giving someone else the right to buy your stock at a specific price, and they pay you a premium for that right. These premiums are collected and distributed to shareholders as income. The numbers are staggering. QQQI yields 13.29 to 13.98% annually. That's $7.41 to $7.73 per share distributed monthly. Put $10,000 into QQQI and you're getting approximately $110 to $120 deposited into your account every single month. That's $1,330 to $1,440 per year. Compare that to QQQM, where you'd need over $200,000 to generate $1,000 annually. QQQI pays 28 times more income than QQQM. The fund just received the Best New Active ETF of 2025 award from ETF.com, beating over 300 newly launched ETFs. Since launching in January 2024, QQQI has delivered an annualized return of 21.05 to 21.08%, actually exceeding both QQQM and QQQJ. The cumulative return through September 2025 is 37.67%, but there's no free lunch. The covered call strategy caps your upside. During strong bull markets, when the Nasdaq is ripping higher, those call options get exercised, and QQQI has to give up gains above certain levels. The fund also has a lower beta at 0.86 to 0.88, meaning it's less volatile than the market. During the April 2025 correction, QQQI's maximum drawdown was 20% compared to QQQ's 22.77%, showing the protective cushion those option premiums provide. Here's the tax advantage. Over 90% of QQQI's distributions are classified as return of capital. That's not immediately taxable. Instead, it reduces your cost basis, effectively converting current income into deferred capital gains. For someone in the 37% tax bracket, this could save thousands annually compared to ordinary income investments. Let's put all three side by side. For 2025 year-to-date performance, QQQM leads at 20 to 23%, QQQI sits at 15%, and QQQJ trails at 13 to 18%. Long-term since inception, QQQM dominates with 17.03% annualized. QQQI shows 21.08%, but only since January 2024. And QQQJ disappoints at 4.6 to 6.33%. For income, it's not even close. QQQI crushes with 13.29% yield, while QQQJ manages 0.78%, and QQQM barely registers at 0.48%. Volatility-wise, QQQM has a beta of 1.17, meaning it moves 17% more than the market. QQQJ sits at 1.10 to 1.13, and QQQI is actually less volatile at 0.86 to 0.88. Cost comparison shows QQQM and QQQJ tied at 0.15% annually, while QQQI charges 0.68% for its active strategy. Concentration is similar for QQQM and QQQI with over 52% in top 10 holdings, while QQQJ spreads risk with less than 20% in its top 10. How do you actually use these in real portfolios? If you're a growth investor in your 20s or 30s with decades ahead, consider a portfolio of 30% QQQM for concentrated tech growth, 50% in a total U.S. stock market fund for broad diversification, and 20% in international equities. This gives you aggressive growth through QQQM while maintaining overall balance. Dollar cost averaging is crucial here, investing the same amount monthly regardless of price to smooth out QQQM's volatility. If you already hold QQQM or QQQ and want diversification into midcaps, allocate 10 to 15% to QQQJ. This adds exposure to those next-generation companies and significantly boosts your healthcare allocation from 4% to over 20%. Just temper your expectations given QQQJ's historical underperformance. For income investors, especially retirees, here's a powerful combination. Take a $500,000 portfolio and allocate $75,000 to QQQI, generating about $10,000 in annual income. $300,000 to QQQM for growth potential, and $125,000 to bonds for stability. That QQQI position delivers monthly cash flow, while the QQQM position provides long-term appreciation. The beauty is, these funds can work together. You don't have to choose just one. But let's talk about the risks because they're real. QQQM and QQQI both carry serious concentration risk. Over half your money is in just 10 companies. The Magnificent Seven, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, and Tesla dominate these portfolios. When tech is winning, you're golden. But if these megacaps stumble, you're taking the full hit. Technology sector concentration at 53 to 54% means regulatory risks around antitrust, privacy laws, or AI restrictions could hammer these funds. QQQJ's underperformance since inception should be a warning sign. That 4.6 to 6.33% annualized return shows that betting on next-generation companies hasn't paid off versus just owning the current leaders. Mid-cap stocks are also more volatile, with that standard deviation of 18.9% over 3 years. For QQQI, understand those upside caps. If the Nasdaq surges 30% in a year, QQQI might only capture 20% after accounting for the sold call options. The 13% yield is fantastic, but you're sacrificing explosive growth potential. During 2024's bull run, QQQI kept pace with QQQ somewhat fortuitously. In a more explosive rally, the performance gap widens substantially. There's also the risk of NAV erosion over decades if the strategy underperforms during extended bear markets. And don't performance chase. QQQI launched during favorable conditions for covered call strategies. Future market environments may be less kind. So here's your decision framework. Choose QQQM if you're seeking pure growth. Have a long time horizon of at least 10 to 15 years, want the lowest possible costs at 0.15%, and can stomach significant volatility, including potential 20 to 30% drawdowns. QQQM is the core holding for aggressive growth portfolios. Choose QQQJ if you specifically want mid-cap diversification away from mega-cap concentration, desire higher healthcare exposure at over 20% of the portfolio, and understand you're accepting lower historical returns as a trade-off for broader diversification. Use QQQJ as a satellite holding at 10 to 20%, not as a core position. Choose QQQI if you need substantial monthly income right now, are in a high tax bracket where the return of capital treatment provides significant value, can accept capped upside during strong bull markets, and want lower volatility than straight equity exposure. QQQI works beautifully for retirees or as a complement to growth holdings. Remember, these aren't competitors, they're tools serving different purposes. A well-constructed portfolio might include all three in proportions matching your specific situation. QQQM has proven itself as the long-term wealth-building champion, with that 17.03% annualized return and rock-bottom costs. QQQJ offers a differentiated approach but hasn't delivered competitive returns, making it a questionable choice unless you have specific reasons for mid-cap exposure. QQQI is the income innovation, delivering yields traditional equity investors could only dream about while maintaining respectable total returns. Your choice depends entirely on whether you prioritize growth, diversification, or income. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these three ETFs matches your investment goals? Are you Team Q, QQM for growth, Team Q, QQJ for diversification, or Team QQQI for that monthly income? Drop a comment below and let's discuss. If you found this comparison helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more ETF deep dives. Remember, this isn't financial advice. Always do your own research and consider consulting with a financial advisor. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.